Hey, what's up, guys? It's Randy, and I'm back on another episode on how to start a clothing brand. In this week's episode, we're going to talk about an important topic on when is the best time to start a clothing brand. Now, a lot of entrepreneurs ask me if there's a right timing in the market, when's a good time to get things together, and we want to go ahead and dive in this episode and really just touch on this topic. All right, let's go ahead and jump on this. Let me introduce myself once again. My name is Randy. Randy Adlawan if you're Filipino. I'm the creative director here at Unique Design, where we print and design apparel for other brands, as well as we have 3 of our own in-house brands that we sell. So we want to go ahead and talk about on when's a good time to start your brand. And before I jump into that, I'm going to do what we always do. I'm going to go ahead and ask you guys, if you can please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Like the video, comment, the subscriptions are what keeps us going, and we want to give you guys as much good content as we can and stay on this. So, I think I told you guys last episode, I dedicated this space right here that we built just for this YouTube channel. So I want to make sure that we can just keep this content coming out for you guys weekly, okay? So, one of the things we want to talk about is when is the good time to start a clothing brand. And, especially when COVID hit and we had the pandemic, a lot of people are saying, hey, this is not a good time to start a brand. And, the answer is yes and no. So I just want to kind of talk about that for a little bit. With everyone, there's different factors, whether it's your personal life, your financial settings, motivational settings, time. There's a lot of things that go into that. And, everyone has to take their different circumstances and figure out what's the best time for them to launch. A philosopher once said, when's the best time to plant a tree? And the answer was 15 years ago. So when's the best time to plant a tree? Is today. So in 15 years, you get it, the tree will already be grown. And you kind of want to think about a clothing brand the same way. Let me tell you a story of myself. Is back in the early 2000s, I had an idea for a brand. This time I was still working as a designer for a clothing company. And the brand at the time, I was like, hey man, I want to take traditional tattoos, because I'm really into tattoos. I don't know if you guys noticed, But anyways, I wanted to take traditional tattoos and I wanted to put them on apparel, but just real actual tattoos from known tattoo artists and kind of launch a brand. And my friends at the time said, that's a bad idea. No one's going to buy it. No one's going to like it. No one's into tattoos like you. I wish we could fast forward that. But anyways, they thought it was a bad idea, so I didn't move forward with it. Hence month, I don't know if that's a word. If that's real. But, okay. Anyways, moving forward, a brand did take that idea, and they ran with it. And there's a brand called Affliction. At the time, they're not as popular as they are now, but at the time, it was like the early UFC days, and Affliction actually had that idea. They didn't take it from me. Somebody else had the same idea I had, but they had better execution, obviously, because they were able to take that idea and really develop a huge line. It was a multi-million-dollar brand for years, and Affliction took that idea, and they ran with it, and they were doing everything. And then, years later, Christian Auditor teamed up with Ed Hardy, and they kind of did the same thing and made it more pop culture and really just made a lot of money on that idea. So after I saw what Affliction did, I told myself, you know what? I'm not going to listen to my friends anymore. They have good intentions, but they're not designers. They don't work in this space. So, I said, go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and launch my own brand. And I launched my own brand back in 2006. And at that time, the landscape was completely different than it is now. The only way to sell apparel was to sell it through wholesale or through distributors. We didn't have an online presence. Online was around, but no one trusted buying apparel online. There were a few things that people would buy online. Apparel wasn't one of them. So at that time, selling apparel online just wasn't an avenue that you could actually make any successful money. And so when I started in 2006, we came out of the gates and we worked on the brand, and we did really good. And we started at Magic 2006, and Magic was a big trade show. It still takes place nowadays, but then that was the place to sell your brand. So we launched at Magic, and we sold really well our first 2 seasons, and then come 2008, we had this giant real estate crash. The whole market crashed. Everything sucked. And anyone who knows around 2008, we basically had a mini recession. And so we were able to make it through that recession because we did everything in-house on our own, other than the printing at the time. So we were, I was a solopreneur, and I just had to help. And so we were able to make it through there. We did a couple of pivots, and we made it out, and we were still able to make money and to flourish. And that's an important thing. Is we just came out of a recession, and we're still kind of in a recession because of the pandemic. But that doesn't mean that's not a good time to start a brand. That doesn't mean it's not a good time to start a business. And a lot of successful businesses started in a recession. Disney started in the biggest recession that we've known to this day still. Walt Disney was laid off from an animation studio, and he decided just to go ahead and get a couple artists together and start his own company. And we pretty much know Disney's successful today, and because of it's a recession, it scares a lot of people, right? But then also for some entrepreneurs, it forces us to have to pivot rather than rely on somebody else on a way to make money. We have to come up with our own way to generate revenue. And so because it's a recession doesn't mean it's not a good time to start a brand. It might be the best time because you might have more time on your hands. You might have more avenues that you can focus on, depending on your situation. Again, back to what I was saying. If you think of like Coca-Cola, when they first came out, people said they sold 25 bottles in 1 year, but that's a lie. They actually averaged 9 bottles a day of sales in Atlanta. So that's still nothing. Think about that. 9 bottles a day. And where's Coca-Cola today? I mean, these companies started with hardly anything, and they're able to stay at it, build their brands, and come to, household names, beyond household names. Because Coca-Cola, they own a bunch of other brands that you're not aware of. In Disney, they own, they bought Marvel, they bought Star Wars, Lucas Studios. So I mean, these brands own other brands, and I'm not saying that you're going to be one of these amazing brands. I'm not saying you're not either. All I'm saying is that you don't have to wait for everything to be right. I've been doing martial arts my whole life, and I had a lot of people come to me, especially in my early 20s, and would ask me, hey, I want to do Kung Fu. I want to do this. I want to do that. But, I can't work out right now. I don't have, my schedule isn't right. I don't make enough money. It's the same thing with working out with people who want to lose weight. It's like, I'm waiting until I have enough time, or I'm waiting until I have enough money. And my answer to them on those topics is the same thing when it comes to the clothing brand. You're never going to have enough time. You're never going to have enough money. Time is a ticking time bomb, right? You look back, you're like, man, where did those 5 years go? Where did those 10 years go? Money is the same thing. You're always going to spend money. You're going to make money. Money comes and goes. So you can't wait for the right time. Like, I got to have this amount of time in a day in order to do this. Or I got to have this amount of money in order to make this happen. You got to work with what you got, so if it starts as something as just selling one t-shirt design, or starts as just promoting the idea, just getting an Instagram and just getting the idea out there and just getting a proof of concept, that's better than not doing anything, in my opinion. Not doing anything, you're wasting it. You could be like me in Affliction. I sat back and didn't move with that idea. Guess what? They came and did it and made multi-millions of dollars. Meanwhile, I was sitting there waiting for the right time, or listening to my friends at the time. So just think about this. The iPhone, when they first came out, I remember when the iPhone first came out, because the big knock on it doesn't have a camera, and it was like, okay, you other phones have cameras, and you're gonna launch the iPhone without a camera? Who's gonna buy this thing? Well, guess what? It sold pretty well, and we're on the iPhone 14, 13, 14. I'm still shooting this on my iPhone 12, so I'm a little bit behind. But they didn't wait for the iPhone 12 before they came out with the iPhone to sell it. And just think about your brand the same way. You don't got to wait till everything's perfect. You got to wait till you have everything. I got to have my hang tags. I got to have my clothing labels. I got to have my jeans. You don't have to do all that. Just to come out the gates, man, just start selling with what you got and what you can work with, and build from there. Because you're going to learn. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. But you'll learn. This channel is to help you prevent from a lot of those mistakes that you would make on your own, that I had to go through, that other brands had to go through. But at the end of the day, you're still going to have mistakes. You're still going to have errors that you're going to learn from and you're going to grow from. And your brand is just going to get better because of that. But you're never going to do that if you never launch your brand. So, the advice I would give you on that, on my end, is, start it off as a side hustle. If you're working at Best Buy during the day, sell apparel on the weekends. Hustle it with your friends. Get together with, some artists that whether it's musicians or whatever it is, and find ways to move it, because the most important thing about a clothing brand is being able to sell it. You can have the most amazing clothing brand in the world, but if you can't sell it, it's not going to do anything for you. So work on those skills, work on the little things you can do, work on, just getting your stuff out there, putting ideas together, and actually seeing them come to fruition. So I would start it as a side hustle. I feel like that's the best way to do it, unless you're sitting around, you're wrapped in dough, and you're just like looking to acquire a company. In that case, that's a whole different story. But, and that's not really what this channel is for. This channel is more for people that are trying to start a brand from scratch. So, started the side hustle, and my other big piece of advice is try to get out of debt. So if you have any debt on anything, pay off that debt. Pay off your truck, pay off your credit cards, because you're gonna need free capital when opportunities come. Because you're gonna be like, hey, whoa, this store wants to purchase, so and so many units of my brand, but I don't have enough money to put it into process. And trust me, I've been there. So pay off all your debts if you can, and just use that time so that way when your brand gets to fruition, then you can go ahead and take off from there. So that's going to be it for today. Again, I hope you guys subscribe. Please subscribe. Comment, leave some nice comments on there. Help me get through my day. And just work it on the side, and kind of figure out from there, because there really is no best time to start a clothing brand. The best time is now, in my opinion. So if you got time, you got an idea, start working on it, And so that's, I'm going to leave you guys with that today. So again, just check out our episodes, and like and comment. And I'm glad you guys made it to do this episode. I'm stuttering at the end of this episode because I don't write anything down, guys. I just really go off the top of my head. I just have the topic of the episode, and I just go from my experience, and that's kind of what I do. So sometimes you're gonna hear me, stuttering. I don't really stutter, but just messing up my words. But other than that, man, you guys have a great weekend, and I hope to see you guys back here again. All right.